Hey guys, I have joining me today a longtime friend of mine, 25 years. He's a business consultant, does a lot of transformative work for companies regarding their infrastructure and their business processes. James Bishop will be joining me today. And James, before we get started, one of the things I really wanted to focus on in these times that we talk together is how businesses that I know guys that run businesses, you know guys that run businesses, and how they can be more efficient. Because at the end of the day, I say this constantly, it's not how much you're selling that matters, it's how much you're keeping. And efficiencies, as you shared with me, are what create the growth and kept money. But before we start, I wanted to read something that I remembered from reading Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink. And he said this: there are the moments in our brain which choose to use two very different strategies to make decisions regarding situations that people are in. The first one he calls conscious strategy. He says this: we think about what we have learned and are going to learn, and eventually we come up with very sound answers because of logic and very definitive understandings. It's slow, but it requires need for more information. He said the second decision-making type is the fast and frugal. That's those that consider what they're seeing at a glance. I mean, very reactive. This is a part of the brain that leads to conclusions like, this is what he calls adaptive unconsciousness. In my opinion, James, we have got to, in business, become more conscious and more centered and more decisive about the choices we're making inside our business so that legacy can be established. You agree?
That's right. And to really kind of explain a little bit more where that comes from, so Daniel Kahneman, who's won Nobel Prize in economics, but he's not an economist. He discovered this, and he really talks about there are two parts of our brains, not the two halves like people have thought, but there are two ways that your brain functions. And he wrote this book, it's a great book called Thinking, Fast and Slow. So you really have two different ways, as Malcolm's really talking about, that most of our life, we live in the fast part of our brain. We don't think about how to drive. We don't think about how to take a shower. You know, hey, I need to do, we work in our default mode. It bypasses our consciousness, our cognitive ability. We're just not thinking about that because we're doing it by memory. We've learned how to do these things. But when we want to do something in cognition, most of the time we live in what he calls cognitive ease. Because system 2 is the lazy system, but it's very powerful. It's where we do our statistics, is where we do our calculations. So if I say 2 plus 2, Reggie, or your audience, a number just popped in your head, and you cannot keep that from happening. If you see a word in your native language, you can't keep it from popping. You can't keep your brain from saying it. But if I say 327 times 18, nothing pops in your head. You have to go wake up system 2 to do that. That's the same thing that happens in business or in any aspect of life. And so people continue to run their business, continue to do everything in their life the same way, unless they stop and wake up system 2 and say, okay, wait a minute, should I be doing things differently? Should I think about the way this should happen? And the people that don't do that, a lot of times they wake up and it's too late to make those changes. And a lot of times those are big companies. We know about Sears, we know about Toys R Us, we know about Eastman Kodak. Sometimes those are big companies and it's just too late for them to pivot.
Well, and the fact of the matter is fast and frugal is not always the wrong approach, right? I mean, sometimes you need to be reactive quick. But
that's right.
From a strategy standpoint, you've got to think through stuff.
That's right. When you're driving down the road, you know, I can drive from here to Atlanta, you know, and I'm not looking at every single thing that happens on the road. What my brain is figuring out the dangers that are there. And so a lot of times in your business or in your life, you're going on rote memory, you're going on things. But I think especially now with COVID-19 and the things that people are used to, this steep curve, that's the way that things are happening in industry too. And this is giving a lot of people time to stop and really think about, okay, what are things that I should be thinking about in my business? There are stresses that are been put in on their business. There are opportunities to really look at how we're working our business. And so this is a great opportunity to kind of sharpen the saw and think about business process.
So you're a transformation strategist, basically. You help companies walk through these steps in their business to get more efficient, to obviously keep more money in their business, just be more productive. I want you to take a few minutes and take your top 3 tips. I mean, just because we're going to do this ongoing, I'm hoping for next, a little while anyway, to give these guys some really useful information to really transform their business, right? So give us 3 tips today, or give these guys 3 tips today that they need to be thinking about as they move forward to become more efficient.
Sure. One would be aware of what you don't know. You can't know what you don't know, but be aware that you can't know everything. And look, I think about Warren Buffett. I think about, people that are really, really successful. One of the things that they do, all successful people surround themselves with other people that are smart. I always use this little thing. I say Hewlett, you say Packard, right? I mean, most great companies have been started with more than one person. And it's because you need several people around you to help you be successful. So surround yourself with subject matter experts. And if you're a small to medium sized business, a lot of times you've got some core competency, but you need some partial subject matter experts to come in and help you really understand, all the different parts of the business, what you should transform, what you should outsource, and those kind of things. So know what you know how to do it well, and the rest of it, get it out of your business.
See, and guys usually they get into business because they do something 2 things very, very well. So what I'm hearing you say is everything in between, at least consider finding somebody else to do it, because it makes you more efficient and probably more productive in good time, right?
That's right. Most people are not very good at running their IT. Most people are not very good at running their payroll. Most people are not get that out of your business, run your core competency, and do it well.
Tip number 2.
Number 2 kind of goes along with that. And it requires some humility, and it's be paranoid. You think about some of these companies that have gone away, some big companies that have gone away. And I think about one of my favorite stories is about Eastman Kodak, that had 90% of the film market, 70% of the camera market, the patent on the digital camera, and nobody cares. Nobody thinks about them. And so my thing that I usually tell people is they were smarter than you. They were smarter than me. And they just didn't see a lot of this coming. And Andrew Grove, the longtime CEO of Intel, wrote a great book years ago, Only the Paranoid Survive.
Now that don't mean be scared.
Not be scared, but be paranoid. And get people around you that can help you know what you know, and listen to them and help you know what you should be doing. Because huge companies thought they were too big to fail, and nobody in this day and age are too big. It's too big to fail.
All right. Tip number 3.
Tip number 3 is, do you understand your business process? Do you have a business process model? Do you understand from cradle to grave, from prospect all the way through to getting cash all the way through your business? Do you understand that? And do you understand every touch point and every cost of that touch? And most people just do not have that.
Is this where bottlenecks in companies are created?
It's not just that, Reggie. It's that they don't understand the hidden cost of I'm having to enter data multiple times. I'm having to touch a piece of paper. Or do you have paper? It's one of these things that once I enter this data one time, do I have a system that could push this along? So once I have my sales rep enter this data into a CRM, can I push that along the process into my order entry, into my invoicing, into, they have multiple people entering data into multiple systems. These are the things that create operational efficiencies. So have a cradle to grave process, understand your model, understand your cost all along the way, and then understand your cash conversion cycle. How long does it take? Understand how long it takes you to get $1 all the way through your business, what your margin is on that, and how you can collapse that, where you can squeeze that. It's because you're getting margin out of that dollar to get back to turn around and buy raw material or invest it back in your business.
We worked in an environment together in the past to where the ability to collect money faster literally changed the trajectory of their business. And it was through, actually, I'm going to brag here, my son came up with a great idea that he brought to you guys, and it really just sped up collection, which created with the business, a brand new face, so to speak.
Well, and back to tip 1, right? It got that particular company out of that bit. It outsourced that, right? Yeah. So it took a company, that company wasn't an expert in that. It outsourced that, got it out of the way, and allowed you guys to be experts in what you were experts in. Absolutely.
Guys, this is the kind of stuff that'll change your business forever. I talk a lot about trends and I talk a lot about shifts, and there's a difference. Trends come and go, shifts are forever. And these are the things that if you will shift your business and, and start thinking about and putting into practice, are forever going to make you profitable. Legacy is going to live on, and you're not going to constantly be living from week to week. These are strategies that matter. James, thanks for your time. Guys, we'll be back in touch with you very, very soon. Stay tuned. Have a great day.
Thanks.